Over under 38.5 carries for Derrick Henry in that game, Joe.
Safe bet is over, I think, if Lamar doesn't play.
Yeah, I kind of like the over.
Give him all 60. Give him 60 offensive touches. Why not?
It's Tractorcito season. Tractorcito.
I am your party host, Joe Rivera. And as always, I'm joined by Chris Bumbaca. Boom, a belated Merry Christmas. How was your
Merry Christmas, Joe?
Did you have a good time? Was it drinking the eggnog, taking some NFL?
We drink coquito in this household, Joe, but yeah, it was a wonderful Christmas as always. I hope the same to you and your family and everybody out there. Great time of year. One of my favorite days of the year, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So no complaints. Of course, the football, not too much to write home about with those games, but at least it wasn't Giants-Raiders, the toilet bowl, in which the Giants lost the chance for the number one pick for the second straight year, week 17, 364 days apart. At least this time it wasn't Drew Lock, right, who goes out there and balls. It was the rookie quarterback who Giants fans have a lot of hope for. So bad news, though. Looks like Joe Shea's going to be around to make that pick, Giants fans. Sorry about that.
That's tough. It's tough. You know, it's kind of funny watching the lead up to the game, too. It's like, hey, well, you want to sit Andrew Thomas? We'll sit Max Crosby, and you want to sit this guy? Well, it was just like back and forth. It was watching
Brock Bowers,
yeah. Yeah, it was just crazy. It was like full tank in effect. So
yeah.
It is what it is, man, this time of year. But
now Fernando Mendoza looks poised to be a Las Vegas Raider. Will Pete Carroll be his head coach? That's the next question out there in the desert.
Yeah, we'll see if the Raiders can finish this off or we'll finish this off. But, you know, boom, there was a lot of chaos in week 17. Left me with more questions than answers. We want to start here though. We got to talk about the Steelers and Ravens game in week 18. Now, DK Metcalf serving the 2-game suspension entering week 18 for fighting with the fan. Not a good look for anybody involved, really. Potentially Lamar Jackson not playing in week 18. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody happened to catch the press conference that the fan DK Punch gave last week, but yeah, also an interesting tactic over there by some defense attorneys who are maybe looking for more camera time than restitution. But yeah, look, could the Steelers have won yesterday with DK out there? Sure, probably. Yeah, hypotheticals are fun, but that's just not the reality of the world we lived in, right? So I look at that sequence down in the red zone in which Rodgers is throwing to Marquez Valdez-Scantling 3 times in a row. You got to think a couple of those targets go to DK, and DK is a much better red zone target than MVS. No disrespect to MVS there, but yeah, I think the outcome's a little bit different. I think the Steelers go for 2, and I think they win. Honestly, if you're giving me a time machine.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the I guess the relationship, the chemistry with Rodgers and Metcalf hasn't really been there this year, but that's really kind of indicative of the player that Rodgers is at this stage in his career, right? Like when you're trading for a DK Metcalf, you're thinking of a guy who can go and grab the ball downfield, and Rodgers has kind of been a yards per target merchant this year, you know, sitting around 6 or 7 yards per target, average depth of target this year. So, I mean, is that a huge blow to a Steelers offense that has struggled? I don't want to say struggled, but has had trouble maybe matriculating the ball down the field regularly? I think so. But is it as huge of a blow as people think entering week 18? I'm not sure. But to that end, Boom, I have to ask you this question. With Lamar potentially sitting out, would you rather be the Ravens in that situation where you might not have Lamar for week 18 with the back contusion, or the Steelers not having DK Metcalf on the field?
Oof. All right, well, just to put a quick bow on the DK Steelers offense conversation here, I think that offense was kind of improving at this late stage of the season even, and they figured out a way in which, like you said, Rodgers being a yards per target merchant, to get Metcalf in those short and intermediate games and let him use his physical prowess to go out and get some yak, right? It's something that we see throughout the season, but I think they kind of figured it out and working it into the offense. So it's a shame it went down this way. Look, the Ravens looked really good running the ball the other night. Saying that the bigger loss is DK compared to the 2-time MVP feels sacrilegious, so I'm not going to. But the fact that we're asking the question is pretty revealing, in my opinion. It's pretty revealing.
Yeah, I think so, Boom. And I think it's just fair to say, I mean, it's fair to say here that the vibes just aren't good with the Ravens right now. Like, even with Derrick Henry popping off, I mean, good for him and having the monster game, but I mean, you had the report that came out that whether or not there was legitimacy behind it is one question, but when your head coach has to come out and deny anything that happened in the report, or like, well, Lamar and I have a great relationship, it's just not fun entering the late stages of the season. Like, it's a distraction. NFL teams always say we want to limit the distractions, right? And it just feels like one, right? So, yeah, I think I'm with you there. I don't think it's like I don't think not having Lamar on the field is particularly going to hurt, especially if Derrick Henry can run the ball the way that he did. But it's going to be an interesting matchup to watch for sure between two teams that, it's do or die. This is it, right? It could be the end. It could be the end of the Tomlin era in Pittsburgh too. When you look at it, like there are storylines aplenty. So interesting Week 18 matchup that we have there.
Over under 38.5 carries for Derrick Henry in that game, Joe.
Safe bet is over, I think. If Lamar doesn't play.
Yeah, I kind of like the over.
Give him all 60. Give him 60 offensive touches. Why not?
It's Tractorcito season. Tractorcito.
Just give him the ball 60 times. That's fine. We can live with that. All right, boom. I am laughing because the Tampa Bay, the Todd Bowles Buccaneers losing yesterday, of course. Like, unbelievable to Quinn Ewers. It's just so funny. All right.
Quinn, you look good.
Quinn P. Ewers. No, it's not. That's mean. All right. All right, boom. Another winner go home game this week on Saturday, Week 18. Your feisty Cats, Carolina Panthers taking on the Buccaneers. NFC South on the line in this matchup. Your feisty Cats, boom. Season on the line. Stress levels are through the roof. Coming off a loss this past weekend, but downfall. The downfall of the Buccaneers must be studied. Here, this is just, you go from a team that was rolling at the start of the season, it looked like they had some late game magic, to now scuffling and staring at their playoff mortality on the line here in this weekend. What do you think? What are the vibes like for this game, Boom?
Vibes are definitely weird because of the whole Falcons question here. We are recording this Monday morning, late morning, and if the Falcons win against the Rams on Monday Night Football later tonight, which would be a pretty massive upset, and then they win again next Sunday against the Saints, the results of this game actually don't matter. So having it in the standalone window is a little bit of a gamble by the NFL, but again, a couple of long shot scenarios have to take place, I guess, is the way of putting it. Yeah, the Bucs downfall, Joe, I mean, we come on here every week and we're like, how does this team keep getting worse? How do they keep losing to these quarterbacks, these coaches on the hot seat? And this was just a nice little potluck of all of that in a way. A seventh round rookie quarterback making his second start, I think. So Todd Bowles' defense again kind of just completely looking AWOL on that deep ball that Tua hit to a receiver whose name I've already forgotten, right? So I think I'm more upset about the fact that the Bucs are still somehow alive in this playoff race than the fact that it's a win and in situation for the Panthers Bucs.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, but as a Jets fan, I've mentioned this on this podcast before. Death taxes and Todd Bowles' defense coming up small when they need it most, right? Like it always feels like it's a critical play, a critical down, something that they need to have it, and it just doesn't happen, right? And we said it before earlier in the season. The Buccaneers winning the games that they did early on, last possessions, Baker Mayfield looking like an MVP candidate early in the season, it just wasn't sustainable. It's not sustainable over an 18-game season. Like, yeah, we know about the one-score games, but winning late is a different thing entirely, right? So, I mean, the Bowles goes out and he has the press conference where he drops the 7 F-bombs, seemingly maybe to fire up his team. That didn't work. So losers of 7 of their last 8, it's a dire situation in Tampa Bay. It just nothing looks pretty right now there. And give me the Panthers this weekend. I feel good about it. Give me the Panthers. I think Canales has that team right where they want to be, really. I don't like the vibes with the Bucs right now. Nothing feels right about them. Head coaching down to the play. I know the injuries play into it too, but it's ugly. It's ugly.
Panthers being right where they want to be means that they must be coming off a loss, right? Because of this whole snip-snap situation they got going on. So, yeah, this is how it's probably going to play out. They win Saturday against the Bucs, win the division, Dave Canales, Bryce Young, success story, and then they'll lose, the 4-5 game at home pretty easily probably, but we'll have fun doing it, right? And it'll be an amazing ride, and that's why we keep pounding here. But look, the Panthers, if they lose to the Bucs, that's a really bad loss at this stage. Like the Bucs are just completely lifeless in my opinion. So Carolina's got to figure out a way to attack that secondary, get Ted McMillan involved. Maybe he was really sick, but like one catch for 5 yards, that ain't gonna get it done on Saturday. And maybe a little bit more Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard action. Let's lean on that run game. Dave Canales, don't be afraid. So that's what I'm expecting out of those Panthers. But yes, like you, expecting a Panthers win. Let's see it, Joe.
What is your takeaway? Boom. I want to hit you with this real quick. What's your takeaway on Bryce Young this year? Like, he's been so wishy-washy. We've said it before. It's like he'll look horrendous for 3 quarters, and then fourth quarter, it's like something clicks for him, and he figures like. I think Canales has gotten a lot out of him this year, for the most part. I think. Totally. What's your vibe of Bryce Young this year?
Yeah, I think the coaching has definitely helped him out a bunch, and it's good to see a player that has tremendous talent like Bryce does begin to exhibit that confidence, right? So I think that's the biggest thing that Canales has given him. And then they've been able to just get a bunch of like really nice play calls on third down on those high leverage situations, like those whoever's doing their third down offense has installed a bunch of really nice, man defense beaters and all that. And Bryce is good at recognizing and then throwing those routes. So it's a credit to that staff for maximizing what Bryce can do. I honestly kind of see him following like a Daniel Jones contract trajectory, probably, depending on whether or not they do the whole 5th-year option or whether they decide to extend him now. I know that he's finishing up his 3rd season, so that's when these decisions kind of have to be made. So Dan Morgan and the Panthers front office do kind of have some decisions to make on Bryce Young's future there in Carolina, and if he really is the guy of the future. Look, I think he can be an above average quarterback, and if you have that guy in the building, it's really tough to let him go.
Yep. It's tough to find those guys to begin with. And the patience that Carolina has had with Bryce Young, you just don't see that with a lot of young quarterbacks anymore. And again, it's to your point, we're at the end of his 3rd year. You're going to have to make a decision on his 5th-year option at some point this offseason. Do you maybe start the early extension talks? Like, has he shown you enough to give you a second contract at this point or to extend him? I don't know.
I'm on the fence there.
Yeah, it's a really, really strange situation. I guess it's a position that no team in the NFL wants to be in, right? Because you need to know if you have the guy. Not to say that the Panthers are going to move on from him this offseason or anything like that, but you need to know if you have the guy sooner rather than later, because that's when the money starts working against you, right? And that's when, the head coach's clock is ticking and the GM's clock is ticking. You got to figure it out sooner rather than later. So I think he's shown you enough to, you give him, you pick up the 5th year, you go from there, you give him another 2 years and see where you go. So,
yeah,
but hats off to the Panthers for sticking it out and getting to this point.
But yeah, Joe, to your point about, whether this works out for them or not, like look at the Dolphins and Tua. Like they thought that they had the guy, they gave him the extension, and now they're really in a bad spot with his situation. So or even the Giants and Daniel Jones, that didn't work out. So there's like so many bad test cases out there. But I do have a question for you now, Joe. Who is the best quarterback in the NFC South? Because I have an answer.
Is it Tyler Shough?
At this certainly point, is, dude.
It's Tyler Shough, man.
It's not. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, Shough. Yeah. I mean, at this point, listen. He showed you. There was a reason that coming out of the combine this year, people had him like a higher rated quarterback than most expected, right? There's a reason he went in the 2nd round. Not an overly sexy draft class this year, but 3rd quarterback off the board, you take that, right? And you run with it. And he's looked pretty good, man. I think the thing with Shough is, if we're going to bring it to the college ranks, he has the experience, right? Even if a lot of his college career was marred with injuries, a little bit older of a guy, but he looks poised back there. And I think that's really rare to find with rookie quarterbacks. So, shout out to Tyler Shough. He's really humming right now. good for Kellen Moore, good for these guys taking a shot on this guy, believing in him at that point. So we'll see what he gives you next season, because you presume he's going to get a second year without any doubts there. But it's got to be Shough. It's got to be Shough.
I wasn't a believer, but honestly, if he started the entire season, he's probably a pretty comfortable front runner for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's shown you a lot. He's shown you a lot in that offense. So, good for Tyler Shough. Good for Tyler Shough and good for the Saints. All right, boom. A matchup that on paper looked pretty sexy before the season turned out to be kind of bowling shoe ugly, and that's the Bills and Eagles matchup in Week 17. Now, Eagles scoring just 13 points, Bills scoring just 12. Not a pretty game. Eagles just don't make you comfortable offensively. Even with Nick Sirianni after the game pumping his chest in the hallway, it's just a weird look all around for the Eagles this year. But what's your takeaway from this game, Boom? I don't know. I'd come out of this game feeling less confident about both teams. I'm not sure if you feel the same.
I closed my eyes when you mentioned Nick Sirianni, because if you saw them, they would have rolled to the other side of the room. But yeah, look, this game was actually super emblematic of how both of these teams play. They're really only capable of stringing together a complete half, right? They don't put together full games in which both sides of the ball are excelling and there's complementary football to go around, right? The Bills notoriously start slow and then come back, and it was 13-0, and I was watching the game with my brother here. And I said, it's going to be 14-13. And I was almost right. Maybe a Josh Allen accurate pass away from being proven correct. But yeah, look, I think the Eagles had 16 yards in the second half. Jalen Hurts
didn't complete a pass in the second half.
And that's the second time this year he's done that. And they've won both games. So that speaks to the defense, right? That defense can carry you. When you're having conversations this week with family members and friends, and they say who could win the Super Bowl, and they're naming teams, and I'm going, no. And then they're like, wait, the Eagles? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. I think it depends a lot on Lane Johnson coming back and getting healthy and maybe not playing in a typhoon-esque atmosphere. But, yeah, the Eagles, I mean, I don't know how many times I could sit here and be like, this offense is one of the most confusing things to study that we have on tape this NFL season. And then at the same time, on the other side, I should say, Josh Allen clearly looked banged up and injured. So he's got to get healthy. And now that they don't have the division, maybe they take a little break next week and get ready to go on the road, become road warriors of the playoffs, because that's the only way they're going to get to California now.
Yeah. X-rays negative on Josh Allen, which is good on his foot. But to your point, he doesn't look 100%. You missed that pass at the end of the game, to maybe put the Bills ahead, and it doesn't happen, But at the same time, if you're an NFL team and you can't scrounge up, some more points after not allowing the opposing offense to complete a pass for an entire half, and you can't find a way to win that game, that's tough. That's a tough look for me. I've been saying it all season. Something about the Bills just isn't right. They're kind of fraudulent to me. I felt that way all year. It just doesn't, it's hard to explain, right? And I've said this before, it's an identity thing for me. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for your team's identity to be your starting quarterback, especially when you have a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes, but there has to be more there. And I just haven't seen it with the Bills this year. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they could be good enough. We'll see if Josh Allen pulls one of these freak show runs in the playoffs like he's done in the past and pushes them now that you don't have to worry about the boogeyman and the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes at the end of it. And the rest of the AFC is wide open for the most part. But I don't know, man. I don't see it with the Bills. I've said it before, and I'm going to stand by that.
So you kind of see them, I think it was 2022 when they lost I think it was 27-10 at home to the Bengals in that wild card round. Maybe it was divisional. I forget. But yeah, they had a bye, though.
Right. I mean, it's a little bit different because of who you're playing, right? And again, I think the AFC this season is just, it's not pretty top to bottom. Like, is anybody really big believers in the Broncos? I don't know. Like, I don't think so. And maybe the Broncos are another team where, like, you're going to be relying on their defense, and Bo Nix has looked good in spurts, and Jarrett Bell, our colleague here, legendary Jarrett Bell, wrote a great column about how Bo Nix is kind of driving the train there now. But
Uh-huh.
uh, it's just the consistency that you're looking for too. So I don't know. It's just I don't have a good feeling about the Bills heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, both of these teams to me are still, and I know I mentioned the Eagles as candidates to make a run, but both these teams to me strike me in more of the win a playoff game and then bounce versus really make a true championship run.
Mm-hmm. All right, Boom. Before we wrap here, I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on Brock Purdy's performance on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. I mean, MVP caliber football this guy was playing, man. He was making plays. I mean, Chris Collins, that's Patrick Mahomes out there, making jokes about himself, right? Like, without George Kittle, 303 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and putting the Niners in position to potentially snag the number 1 seed in the NFC. Like, who could have seen that coming? I mean, I guess that Thursday night game against the Rams a couple weeks ago, like, Kyle Shanahan is an unbelievable head coach. Let's just say that, right? Let's get that out of the way. But everything they've done this year with the injuries and the Brandon Ayuk stuff, and navigating not having Purdy for a while, he deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. Number one, how do you see this Niners Seahawks game playing out on Saturday? Boom.
Well, first of all, a self-aware Chris Collinsworth is something we should all fear, right? Like, I liked how Turnigo kind of brought him in, and they had that moment. That was fun. I like that booth. That's a good booth to me. People don't like that booth. I like that booth. We'll one day we'll do a full booth rankings in the offseason, baby. But yeah, so back to the Seahawks Niners. I think the Seahawks open as 1.5 point favorites. I'm pretty sure. So that was a little surprising to me. I don't know. Second Jarrett Bell name drop on this podcast. Shout out JB, Hall of Famer for a reason. He wrote about how the Seahawks defense is really bailing out Darnold over these last couple of weeks, because he was pretty unimpressive, especially in that first half against the Panthers, who, they have a secondary who plays a lot better than the names in it, I would say, but just they're not super impressive in my opinion. So I think that the Niners ultimately have the upper hand here just because of the way that offense works. If they could get George Kittle back in there, I think is a massive thing. Jawan Jennings coming onto the scene really strong this year. He's worth the contract holdout situation that went down toward week 1. Ricky Pearsall is looking better. I know he's been banged up throughout the year, but he's been a nice little asset. Christian McCaffrey, I don't think we could talk enough about that guy. And then Trent Williams goes out on the first series on Sunday Night Football, and Kyle Shanahan draws up a plan to make sure the backup is able to hold his own against a pretty good pass rush, or a Bears pass rush that has played better than it has in recent years, and has some guys on that D line like a Montez Sweat who could wreck a game for you. And a lot of people, Joe, owe Brock Purdy an apology. A lot of people. That play, I guess in the red zone, where he's dancing around and then he runs up to the 5-yard line and finds, I think it was Juszczyk for the touchdown late in the game. Unbelievable play. Like, yes, it was Mahomes-esque, like, honestly. Mm-hmm. And, I think he was worth that contract, at least this season. Yeah, I know he was hurt for a while, and Mac Jones came in and played really well, and that's another testament to Kyle Shanahan's Coach of the Year resume point for 2025. But to me, Brock Purdy is playing like a top 5 to 7 quarterback in the NFL right now, and that might be a hot take, but I mean, I think the numbers back it up, and I think the fact that his team is potentially number 1 seed is also speaks to that.
Right. And you know what, Boom? Like, the one thing I'm tired of hearing of is like the system quarterback debate, right? Like, you want a system that can accentuate your quarterback's talents, and you want a quarterback that can make the system look good. Like, why is this a bad thing, right? Like, people use that as like a derogatory, as a knock, as a criticism. And I think Brock Purdy is perfect for Shanahan's system. That shouldn't be a bad thing, right? As long as he's executing it. And not only that, but when you're making the plays off script that he does, the off-platform throws, rolling out, like you said, the touchdown pass to Juice in the end zone look good. I mean, that's the stuff that you want out of your passer, right? To know when a play breaks down, like what you have to do, where you have to go with the ball. So shout out to Brock Purdy. I want to just take this back real quick, boom, to the Rams Seahawks Thursday night football game. There are games that are won in the NFL and there are games that are lost in the NFL, right? And I look at that game as a game that the Rams lost more than the Seahawks won. In the second half, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum combined for like 3 carries in the second half.
This is how McVay loses games. It's literally the only way when he stops running the ball.
Like, and you see it happening in real time, and you say to yourself, like, dude, run the ball, like, eat some clock here. It's okay to play a little bit conservative down the stretch if you just need to. And that opened the door for the Seahawks to come back and they win that game in overtime, right? I haven't been overly impressed with Sam Darnold's play. I think Mike Macdonald has that team, again, defensively rolling. But Darnold yesterday, 18 of 27, 147 yards, a touchdown, interception. I know Zach Charbonnet went for over 100 yards yesterday. But is Darnold a guy you're going to trust in the playoffs at this point? I mean, he proved it last year. The answer is a resounding no. So I don't know, man. I like, again, Darnold's been so up and down this year. He's had an incredible connection with Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I just don't trust him. I don't know what it is about it. Like, yes, he had an incredible throws down the stretch in that Rams game, but I just don't see the consistency enough with him. And it's like, is it a lights too bright moment? I'm not sure, but I'm not sure I trust the Seahawks in the playoffs at all.
It is pretty remarkable that he finds himself in a similar situation as last year, what he did with the Minnesota Vikings. We don't know for sure right now as we are recording whether the 1 seed is going to be on the line, but like the NFC West is certainly on the line and all that. So like that's the Week 18 game, and then he'll be in the playoffs, and that 2-game stretch cost him tens of millions of dollars a year ago. So he has a chance for some redemption here. At least he's not playing for a contract this time. But yeah, I'm going to probably pick the Niners. I'm probably going to pick the Niners just because I picked them to win the division at the beginning of the year, not knowing that they were going to suffer injuries across the defense when you were already dealing with losses in free agency. And Robert Saleh has somehow, your boy Robert Saleh has somehow morphed that unit into something that is doable, right? Like on that defensive side, they got words pretty good last night, and yeah, that Bears offense is really good. But they've made plays when they needed to. They made plays when they needed to.
You lose Joey Bosa, and you say to yourself, like, oh well, that's that, right? Like it's a wrap.
Right.
But you get to this point, and listen, they love playing for him as a defensive coordinator. I'm not sure what his future prospects are as a head coach, but I mean, good for the Niners for weathering the storm. Again, the injuries have been ridiculous this year, up and down. It's really, a lot of teams have been snake bitten by injuries. But when you lose your quarterback for a long stretch, you got to turn to Mac Jones, and he looks pretty good, all things considered, in Purdy's stead. It's a good coaching job. Speaking of coaching jobs, Coach of the Year candidates. Has there ever been more options here? Like, who do you got? I'm not really sure at this moment, but there's a lot of names out there.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stick with Vrabel in New England just because first division title since 2019. They clinched that with the Bills' loss yesterday. Yes, they had a weak schedule, like the weakest, I think, pretty handily in the entire league, but they beat all the bad teams on their schedule pretty much, except for the Raiders week 1. So that's impressive, and they went 8-0 on the road, which is also very impressive. I think that's coaching to me, and to do it with a second-year quarterback, I think things are looking pretty bright in New England. But yeah, you have him, you have Shanahan, you have McDonald. Who am I forgetting?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Yeah, I think if the Bears maybe got that 2 seed, he would be in there, which they're still in contention for. I guess they were in contention for the 1 seed going into Sunday Night Football. But yeah, it's a stacked group. I don't think a voter could go wrong, and I'm glad I don't have a vote there this year. So,
no Aaron Glenn Love today, unfortunately.
I don't think that's
in the cards.
He might not get a 10th place vote. But he's coming back in 2026. How do we feel about that?
We'll see. I think that's it. Like, that's my strongest answer, right? Like, it feels like every other season. I don't want to turn this into a Jets podcast here, but it feels like every other offseason, the Jets have the most important offseason in their franchise history, right? Like that's just the way it feels like every other year. You're like, oh well, this is going to be a transformative offseason. I'm gonna say it again. This offseason is huge for the Jets right now. Like you have to find the quarterback because the clock is ticking now, and who knows what that's going to look like in the draft or free agency. A guy that you find potentially, I don't know what the answer is. You have to infuse talent on the defensive side of the ball because they're devoid of it right now. I don't know. Like I like what Glenn has done. I'll say that. Like there's been positives, there's been negatives. The defensive coordinator situation, firing Steve Wilkes and going to Chris Harris here hasn't been pretty. I mean, you get blown out by the Patriots in week 17. It's not a good look. Been blown out the last few games, as a matter of fact, when it started to look like you were showing some progress. So, I mean, I'm willing to give him another year. I'm not of the mind that you should be firing coaches one and done unless it's like an absolute disaster top to bottom, like you had with Nathaniel Hackett in Denver a couple of years ago, right? So, yeah, we'll see. I think that's my biggest judgment on Aaron Glenn and the Jets. We'll see.
My biggest judgment on Aaron Glenn and the Jets is that Chris Banjo, the special teams coordinator, should be getting head coaching interviews this offseason.
Yep. Shout out Chris Banjo. Incredible special teams unit. You like that?
You got to think about this. It is a roster that is among the worst in the entire NFL. Some by their own designs at the trade deadline and whatnot. And you take the bottom of that roster and you make them into a top 5 special teams unit in the last 25 years. Not this year, the last 25, 30 years. They're a top 5 unit according to DVOA. To me, if I'm casting a wide net in my coaching search and I just hear that on principle, I'm sitting down with that guy. I'm sitting down with him because something is working. Yes, Isaiah Williams is a great returner, and that significantly contributes to the statistics and stuff. But like, I'm taking that guy serious. Like that coaching is working clearly.
Yep.
Sorry.
Shout out Chris Banjo.
Talk. Yes.
No, yeah,
this is a Chris Banjo podcast.
People stopped listening 15 minutes ago. It's fine.